Welcome in, everybody. It's All Pro Lines, the podcast. Comedy, football talk. My guest today, Ryan Schaetzle. Great old friend of mine. I'm happy to talk to Ryan. We did it. We did another season. Season's in the books, baby. Congrats to those Chiefs. That first half was a little bumpy, and the second half was great drama, great television. So kudos to the NFL, man. What a nice finish to the season. Goodness gracious. Exciting conclusion. We got a lot to do here. Let's do a few announcements. We'll jump into some jokes. Give us a good review, whatever your platform is where you're listening to. Go in there and just write a little 5-star review. You don't even have to write one. Just give us a 5-star review and then write the word like amazing or something, just something, just so the algorithm is like, oh, that's a good thing that's happening over there. Now that football season is over, I am hitting the road hard. Next week, I will be in Frankfurt, Huntington, Evansville, and Owensboro. That's going to be fun. It's a little brewery tour I'm doing. It's 3 like microbreweries and a little bar. So it's going to be a fun little run for me. A couple of weeks after that, St. Louis, Quincy, Bloomington, Springfield. A couple of weeks after that, Burlington, Cedar Rapids, Rochester. I'm doing Napa. I'm doing Peoria. Doing a taping. My new album will be recorded in Peoria. How does Kostaki play in Peoria? That's what we'll find out. This thing that you're listening to now will go to once a month format. We will not go away for the off season, but we're going to downshift for a little while. We're definitely going to come back and talk about free agency. There's a lot of big things to be determined, including who's quarterback in the Falcons, and we'll know that in mid-March, probably. All right, let's see who's in here. Let's take a peek at the comments. Jerry, Ron, Heather, Ewan, Marge. All right, some of our faves. Thanks for being here, guys. It means a lot. Let's do
the 2-minute drill.
Yeah, let's do that. Congrats to all the Chiefs, Andy Reid, and everybody. That was cool. I enjoyed it. Congrats to Patrick Mahomes. You deserve it, man. At the parade this week, just don't let your dad drive any of the floats. That's all. That's your last job of the season. So in this Super Bowl, both teams get to touch the ball in overtime. That's interesting. No, not bitter. Why would I be bitter about a Super Bowl where it goes to overtime and the team that had the best offense of the season didn't touch the ball in the championship game of the thing? No, why would I be upset about that? This was the 7th longest game in NFL history. I assume the longest is Super Bowl 51, Falcons-Patriots, since that's still playing in my head. One word we keep hearing the last day or so, last week, I guess, reminds me of primetime soap operas in the 80s. Dynasty. Right? One word we haven't heard this week, Dallas. Ha ha. Oh, it's fun. Kansas City Dynasty. That sounds like a reality show about a barbecue restaurant. I would watch Kansas City Dynasty. That sounds fun. Mahomes is coming for your legacy, Tom Brady. Check that rearview mirror. Objects in mirror are closer than they appear. You know what I'm saying? He's only 28. He's already better than you. Some people said Travis Kelce angrily bumped into Andy Reid on the sideline. It's also possible Andy Reid's just hard to get around. It's difficult to when you're trying to. Super Bowl was ugly early, man. It was hard to watch. You'd think it was on Peacock. It was hard to watch. That's a joke that was super topical 2-3 weeks ago. No scoring in forever, and then towards the end it got really exciting. It was the opposite of a marriage. It was. Happy Valentine's Day, everybody. Halftime, Travis Kelce had 1 catch for 1 yard. Taylor Swift must have been thinking, I traveled to the other side of the earth for this. Turned out good. You guys know Usher's from Atlanta. Finally, a good Atlanta performance in the Super Bowl. Phew. Based on this show, he got promoted from usher to groomsman. So that's good. He got a promotion. After a half of fumbles and 3 and outs, the halftime show was a welcome respite. People actually moving around the field in coordinated motions following a plan. To that point, it was the only 15 minutes of the game that didn't have at least 2 punts. Usher took his shirt off. Jason Kelsey topless. Usher topless. Can we get Gracie Hunt in on the fun? Why? Fair's fair. Janet Jackson was watching at home like, oh, now it's cool? That doesn't seem fair. The NFL considered Lizzo for the halftime show, but they were worried about the audience. They thought they might see a fat lady singing and think the game was over. That joke got a lot of comments on Facebook. A lot of mixed feelings about that joke, which I totally get. Super Bowl ads were $7 million for 30 seconds. On a per second basis, a bargain compared to what the Jets paid for Aaron Rodgers this year. Elon Musk's rocket ships that blow up on the launch pad cost less and work longer. All right. 2025. This is cool. The NFL is going to play a regular season game in Spain. And the NFL is set to have their first game in Brazil this year. You guys know Notre Dame has touchdown Jesus, but Brazil has incomplete pass Jesus. You're familiar with that. He's big and Jesus, of course, died of extreme unsportsmanlike conduct. Very unnecessary roughness. The personal foul of all personal fouls. All right. This week, Ocho Cinco said if the Chiefs lose, he'll divorce his wife and have no sex for a year. I did it the old-fashioned way. I had no sex for a year, then I got a divorce. I think that's probably the more traditional. That's the more traditional path. See, this seems like a tricky way to get out of a marriage, Chad. Sorry, baby, I'm not a welcher. I didn't want, but I said I was gonna. The Chiefs won, so I guess he's good. But she needs to be careful, though. If he continues to make these sort of bets, it's a bit of a red flag. If Patrick Mahomes Sr. gets another DUI this year, I'm leaving my wife. Don't do that. If he gets divorced, if his wife leaves him, Ocho Cinco, does he have to change his name to, what is it, Sorrento y Dos? Anyone? 42 and a half in Spanish? I need some help. I don't know. I got to call my kid. I have a kid who's taking Spanish. I'll have to work on this joke. Odell Beckham is dating Kim Kardashian. You can't make that catch with one hand. That's a two-hand. That's at least two hands. All right. That's 2 jokes in one segment about women's bodies. Send your strongly worded emails. I've got no judgment. These are curvy women. I like curvy women. All right. Again, lots to cover. Let's get my buddy in here. You may know him. You may love him. I love him. You might not know him. I don't know. He's a comic from way back. He and I actually started together at the University of Georgia as open micers running around trying to figure out how to be comedians way back in the day. And he was easily the best one of us, in my opinion. So he has since gone on to some things that aren't stand-up comedy and is doing very well for himself. And he's a great giant contributor to the jokes that you hear on this show. Ladies and gentlemen, Ryan Schaetzle. Hey, buddy.
Hey there. Thank you for the kind words.
Oh, yeah. Thanks for the.
Can you hear? Is everything properly modulated? You can hear me?
Yeah, I hear you great. Yeah,
good.
You're good.
I appreciate that. I don't know that I did okay in college for comedy, but then I was thinking back to this. I think I told you it's been years. I was like, I'm going to go back and I'm going to do open mics. And I'm going to get. I found one of those the other day, and it was like, thank God I got a different job because I looked nervous and stupid, and like I did. Like I told myself it was like, oh, it was open mic, and I did all right. And then I went back and watched. I was like, oof. I'll stick to writing a joke, sending it to a professional, letting him handle it.
That's great. Yeah. Well, it's even for professionals, so hard, man. Even longtime pros. If you're a little rusty, it goes away. Like there's definitely a chops thing that happens. Like when you're in the groove, the words come easily to your lips and your timing is there and you've got a certain confidence and poise. And that could really be taken away if you're like off for a month even, and obviously if you take some years away, you're like
Yeah.
a kid starting over. It's crazy.
I was going like after work on a Tuesday night to downtown Atlanta. Oh, perfect. My dogs. This is great.
It's gonna be like a low rent porno. You just hear the dog barking the whole time.
They haven't barked in like an hour, and I was like, I'm not gonna put them in the other room. But what I was going to say is that the fact that you make it look easy is amazing to me, because I sit and I listen and I watch what you just did, and it's like to even tell a joke to a camera with nobody there to laugh or give back. It's like, I don't know, man. Like, it's something I don't have. So kudos to you for that.
Thanks, man.
You deliver it well. And sometimes, you go, I watch your Bob and Tom stuff a lot. And those guys, they give you some good stuff too, but they get so off track and you're like, I'm trying to do this thing here. And
yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Just like, let's go over here. And you're like, oh, can I cuss on this, by the way?
Oh yeah, absolutely.
Okay,
yeah.
Good. All right, cool.
Yeah, you're good.
But yeah, sometimes I'm like,
yeah, they will definitely it's the full range. Sometimes they just open the door and I tell jokes and they close the door. But usually they like to go on, he'll stop me and go on some off tangent forever, or they get talking about something that, a joke instigates in their heads and they go down a rabbit hole for a while. It's fine.
Yes.
It's all part of live radio.
Yeah, and as you mentioned, I'm sure when you said, "Oh, some of you might know him," absolutely nobody out there probably knows me, but I appreciate that.
Well, we did do an interview during the pandemic, and we talked for a while. So some of the folks who follow this thing are hardcores, and they watched all those interviews over the pandemic as well. So that's what I had in my head. I don't know if anyone.
Yeah, definitely. No, I've enjoyed sort of watching you do this and having it grow and get bigger, and it's really fun. For those of you who don't know, which is all of you, I send them really bad premises, really bad jokes, and sometimes I'll get like, I have a few beers and fucking just go down the list and write, and then sometimes I can see in real like highlight, delete, or I'm like, that's probably better than all those went away. Well, I'm really hot and cold. Like sometimes I'm like, holy shit, Kostaki used like a couple of my jokes, and a couple I'm like, wait a minute, none of them. It's just like, it's so funny. Like it's better behind it. I have no filter, right? I don't have to be the guy on stage. Like,
well, that's one of the people might not know this.
In front of you. Yeah,
this is a little inside baseball, but one of the most maddening things when you're writing for someone else is you don't get to have the final say as to what it is or how it works or how it's done or whether it's done. It can drive you crazy. So in the old days, there were a handful of things I wrote jokes for.
Yeah.
But one of them was there was a short time where they called us a faxer, which it was email at the time, but it was the leftover language. I was a faxer for Jay Leno, and I would sit in Nebraska, wherever I was telling jokes, and I would write 15 jokes and I would email them into Jay. And then I would tell jokes to my 42 people at the club. And then I would run into the bar and watch the Tonight Show on the bar TV to see if one of my jokes got on. And
that's amazing, though.
Almost never, though. I mean, once in a while, but even when he did one, it was like, that's the one you picked, Jay. It just seems like when you give that creative power to somebody else, sometimes it's maddening to not go, the one at the top of the page, that was the best joke. How do you not pick that one?
Well, I have just enough. Like, you actually do it for a living, and like you have the chops to do it. I happen to know my own limitations. I have the spatial awareness to know that, I'm a douche writing jokes, and you use them or you don't. And I made peace with that a long time ago. It's like, take it, don't take it, whatever. But like, I don't think you've ever like not told one or told one that was like, oh, that hurt my feeling. Like fuck it, I just ride them and you take them or you don't. So, but I will tell you one thing though, is I almost want to apologize to you sometimes when one doesn't land.
Oh yeah,
right. And they're like, and I'll goof on it. Oh fuck, that's my fault.
That's the other side of it. Yeah.
It is so like, I'm like, oh, come on. Anyway.
Well, that's the other thing. with stand up, at least you get to keep trying. You
Yes.
get to build it and
Yes.
try it again and learn how to do it the right way and carve the words down to their essence and emphasize the right beat and figure out what parts of it they're not getting and then learn how to
Yeah.
resolve it. Over the long haul, stand up gives you a chance to, there's a lot of trial and error in stand up. And with this kind of thing, there's a very short window for the trial and the error. Like, boom, it's over. Super Bowl's over next week. Nobody wants to hear any of these jokes. So
Yeah.
you kind of have a short window. And you know what surprised me in the process? Memes are even less so. You only get one shot with a meme. You don't get to go back and go, oh, they didn't get this part. Let me just rephrase it. It's over. You can't do it again. So it's funny that I bring my stand-up process to the other tangential parts.
Yeah.
And it doesn't always apply. Sometimes as a comic, it drives me crazy that I can't fix something that's gone in the ether. It left me at a D plus, and I didn't get a chance to turn it into a B plus,
Totally. Yeah. I know exactly what you're talking about. Like, at least with stand up, you can bump into something you didn't mean to and go with it. Like you were saying, like you could be like, ah, bye-bye, and you throw away, and they're like, ha ha. You're like, oh shit, really? That's fun. Okay, fine. I can do more of that.
Oh, right.
Or,
You can discover in the moment.
Yeah.
Some comics are great at that. Bill Burr is maybe the best at writing on stage, not just improvising, but
terrifying.
building an act on the stage. Right.
Like, it's like he doesn't say, it's like he doesn't only write funny stuff. He's not only funny. Like, you know what I mean? Like, he's got all those things. Like, it's either be funny or write funny. I don't know. Like, sometimes if you do it perfectly and you rehearse it and you wrote something funny, like somebody who's not naturally funny that you meet can turn into the funny person. Does that make sense? He just goes up there and he is just funny, like whatever the fuck he decides to say. Because his inflection and the way he says stuff and his
and that process works really well for him because he's such a defined character at this point. We know who he is.
We bought into what that is, right?
And a lot of his stuff is sort of the ranting as the character as opposed to writing a joke,
Correct. He's like, him well enough to know why that would bug him, and he's got that little angle. Yeah.
Right.
I love
because he hates women, that's why.
Yeah, because do you guys not know who I am?
I love Bill Burr. Just nothing's more subjective than comedy, but for me, he's one of the best handful of comics of all time.
Yeah.
But you will have to wince through a 7-minute chunk every special that's a little tough on women.
He even says it. Yeah, 100%. Yeah.
There's always a few beats in there. I'm like, I'm uncomfortable.
You brace for a little bit. You're like,
yeah.
Exactly.
It's funny.
Well,
all right, let's do.
You want to talk about the game a little? What were you going to say?
Yeah. No, go ahead. I think that's a better choice. Let's do that. What'd you think?
Oh, you know what? Like the first half, like you said, was really boring. And I know that you like the Chiefs, and I know you were there before. They got really good and the bandwagon and all that. They have grown on my nerves. I don't know why.
Oh, really?
I don't I don't have a reason. It's one of those things where I'm like, wow, that guy's great. He's great. Wow, great play. I still hate him. I don't know why. And it doesn't have to do with the success. I don't need to tear someone down to feel better either. There's something annoying. I like Andy Reid.
Yeah.
He's cool.
Yeah, me too.
Go ahead.
I think Patrick Mahomes is likable. I like you said, I kind of got in early on the Chiefs because of fantasy. I had Mahomes.
What is this?
And
he does this the whole game.
Oh yeah, he definitely does weird things.
I'm just like, why are you doing that? Stop doing. He's like, what? This must mean something really fucking great. Like, because
there's a couple of kids who have done like funny impressions of Mahomes' physicality, like in videos that are floating around online.
Yeah,
he runs a little, almost like a yeah.
My wife last night was like, he's got a big ass.
He wears his helmet funny. There's a lot of quirky things
about
it.
Thing with his,
Mahomes.
He's got
he's a character. But man, I love him. I got in early because of fantasy. I had Tyreek Hill and Travis Kelce and Mahomes in some different fantasy leagues, and did you watch Quarterbacks by any chance? The thing on Netflix?
I have not. I've heard it's really good.
Strong recommend. It's really good. There's a beat in there. I teared up a little bit. There's a beat in there where what's the name of that lineman from the Raiders who's scary and awesome this year?
Oh, the guy that had a little thing with Mahomes all year.
Yeah,
The
that
big
guy.
guy that was just like in his face. I can't.
Yeah, torturing him the whole game. There's a clip from one of those games where he's going outside the norm of torturing Mahomes. Like after a play, bumps into him for no reason, and he pushes him a
Yes,
little
and he's
extra.
like, dude, what's your problem?
He was
Yeah,
really being a dick to him, and Mahomes is like, dude, that's not okay. He was, and
yeah.
and this is what I love about Mahomes. Off the field, he is diplomatic and kind, and he's modest, and he's like thoughtful, and he's generous. And then you see this clip of him on the field, and this guy keeps fucking with him and fucking with him and fucking
Yep.
with him. And finally, he just erupts, and he has the game of his life, and he's running around the field like, "You woke up the wrong motherfucker! You
I
woke
did
up the
see
wrong."
that. He's like, I'm here
Oh
all
man,
day.
it
Yeah.
was. I really was like, oh, I like him even more. I find him to be really likable in a way that Tom Brady wasn't likable to me, but maybe it just I was on the outside. I was kind of rooting against Tom from the beginning, and so I got stuck in this
Right.
I hate Tom Brady rut, and it was
You
brutal
did.
for
It was,
20
and it's,
years.
yeah. You're on the wrong side of that. I get it. You were more committed than I realized.
I hated him way before the Falcons thing was just frosting to me.
Oh,
Like I was
shit.
just so tired of Belichick and
Yeah.
the Patriots winning all the time, and I just did. I thought it was unfair that they played in the weakest division in the history of football with the best quarterback and the best coach and the best tight end of all time. Like
So
I was just
annoying.
annoyed by the whole machine of it all.
Yeah,
So
I'm
this one
100% with you on that. Yeah.
So this one, for dumb luck, I'm on the right side of it, and it's going to be fun to continue to root for Mahomes and the Chiefs. They're certainly poised to be a machine for a while. We'll see.
Absolutely. I can't believe they were underdogs. That was the weird. Is that just like I don't bet enough to know. Is that a sucker bet?
3
kind of
weeks in
thing?
a row, they were underdogs in Buffalo, in Baltimore, in Vegas.
That's just
I
a
think that's
weird, like,
crazy.
that's a temptation bet thing, right? Like
Well, on paper, the Niners
they
are a very good
covered.
team.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah, that's right. They covered. Yeah,
They did. They technically covered last night.
Wait, no, it was Niners by 2. Right? So no.
Hold on,
The
wait. I got
the
it
Chiefs
backwards,
won all
don't I?
around, no matter how you bet it. Well, I mean, depending on what you bet. But yeah,
Oh, right. That tells you how much I bet right there.
but they didn't.
I was thinking it was.
I don't know if it was a factor that they don't kick an extra point. Like in this situation, like there's no extra point, so it's only by 3. Is there an over under that was a factor
a lot
there?
of people, the missed extra point, that I always wonder about that, like who's throwing shit at the TV. The guy was 68 for 68, and that's the fucking one you're gonna miss. Like the 1 point. Even my wife was like, "That's gonna come back to haunt them." And
Yeah.
it did. And then the
Yeah,
one
it did.
that they didn't kick in overtime, it's like, there's some guy just like, I picture a guy in some shitty, I don't know, house in Pensacola for some reason, just getting pissed off that 1 point would have been the thing that paid him.
Yeah, I'm sure. And when
Are you fucking kidding me?
I've got a little bit of a foot in the betting world. One of our sponsors is BetMGM, and not a sponsor, a friend. I forget. I got to be careful with the gambling language, Ryan.
Yes.
Our friends at BetMGM.
A friend of ours.
Yeah, there's a lot of very specific rules. I've been dabbling a little bit in the game. I don't like, for me, this is just my personal, I like fantasy level gambling where it's like $50 with friends. So then you're rooting for a thing, but you're not like angry at the television. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If I bet a lot of money, then I'm mad that they got a strip sack or whatever. Like
I have one. I won't change the subject too much, but I have one like gambling experience, and it was one of these shit hook. Well, I shouldn't name check it here probably because that'll be the opposite of endorsement. But we went to some shit hook casino in North Carolina, and my buddy and I, we have this thing. March Madness has become our thing. We got a big group of like 20 people that play, and we turn in our picks and all that. So we went to just watch it in person. And that was my first time going to a casino. Like I bet, $20. Like remember Fairleigh Dickinson was like a 16-1 and I won like $400 or $500 on that. I'm like, because it was like the worst bet you could make, but I made it and won.
That's great. That's what's fun. That's what's memorable.
But there was a guy there that I just remember. I was looking, and people here might be like, yeah, that's every guy at a casino, but he's like late 20s, early 30s, like watching every game, fucking just all into it. And I'm like, all right. And then we came back the next morning, and somehow that dude was there like in the morning he was wearing the same shit he was wearing last night. You know what I mean? And I was like, that guy didn't change. Like, what was he? There were no games on overnight. Like, what were you gambling on overnight? I just like, what the fuck is going on here with this guy? And I was like, don't be that guy.
Yes,
right?
I know. I have that too. And the thing that I remember, back at the University of Georgia days, I had a couple of buddies, you'd circle when the schedule would come out like the year prior, you would circle those 6 weekends on your calendar and you build your whole life around the Georgia home games.
Thinking about them this year
Right. And I had a couple of friends, if the Dogs lost, it ruined their weekend. And I was like, I'm not going to be that guy. I'm 19. I'm drunk. I'm in Athens. I'm going to have a good time. I don't care what the outcome is. I try to divorce myself from sports outcomes even then. And I still try that. I don't always nail it because now I study it for my job and I know all these guys and the storylines and everything. I kind of really care about outcomes sometimes, but I try to have some distance. So I'm not sad when it doesn't go.
Oh man. I listen, I've gotten better, and I'm married 21 years as of last week. And my wife can tell you, but last night, she actually got mad during the game. And I was like, we don't care about either of these teams. She's like, this is your fault. And I'm like, why? She goes, because now I give a shit about football. And now I know that guy should have made that. I'm like, you take the points, like she's all mad.
That's why you gamble small, not big.
What's the matter? It's just a game.
Heather chimed in here. Max Crosby, that's the guy.
Oh, yeah.
Torturing Mahomes.
See, I'm on Team Crosby when I watched that. But then when I saw him like just talking shit back, I was like, all right. But I think in a head-to-head, Crosby's going to eat his head.
Well, I understand when you're playing somebody like Mahomes, you're like, well, I may as well take a swing at doing something weird. I think, what's his name? The Ravens kicker did the same thing. It was just like kind of encroaching on his space in the warm-up, being a little bit for no reason.
Poking at you. Yeah.
Right. I understand that when you're up against, Goliath, you might take a swing at something extracurricular thing that might help you. I'm not opposed to it. I'm not morally opposed to it, but I don't love that kind of thing. All right, let's do one of our little segments. What we do here.
Come on. Taps on the back. Taps on the back. Taps on the back. Taps on the back. Not a kudos. Taps on the back. Not a kudos. Taps on the back. Not a kudos. Taps on the back. Not a kudos.
That's Aqib Talib, if you're not familiar.
I do remember that. A lot of kudos, a lot of taps on the back. Yeah. I love that. He had a big like necklace that people would rip at. Remember that?
Yeah.
Or the gold
and vice versa.
Yeah.
he wasn't subtle.
No.
Not verbally or otherwise. No. I'm gonna give kudos to Andy Reid. He's sort of soft spoken. He's like a football nerd. You could see it in his bones. He's thinking about football. He's thinking X's and O's. He knows how to communicate with players. He took some shit from Travis Kelce, and
that bothered me. We can't get into it, but go ahead.
Yeah, it's okay. We can get into whatever. That's what the podcast forum is. That bothered me too, but I understand in the heat of the thing and the moment, and I don't. But he can handle whatever crazy bumps in the road, and he's got just enough of the crazy genius try a trick play, but not overdo it like the Chargers coach. He has he sprinkles it just enough to keep people. And he got fired from Philly after doing well there. It didn't seem fair, and he's landed in a perfect situation and built this giant machine. I just think it's
all time great. Yeah, I like he's consistent. And I will say the most. I don't know if it's underrated or not. What the fuck do I know? But that call at the very end was just like a little chef's kiss, like because Hardman was not a target. He started in motion and then went back the other way. Nobody checked it. It was like wide open Merry Christmas.
Right.
But that was, I think, because of the play call. Even at the end of the game, Mahomes Mahomes was like, he's a genius. Like he was name checked that play.
Yeah, and it
Probably
was
hadn't called it all year.
It was cool to hear. Mahomes also said at one point this week, like, I can't tell you how many times I talked to Andy and I'm like, hey, we need to do X or whatever, and Andy is already calling that. It's like we're on the same page with things.
Yeah.
And yeah, that was cool. The Super Bowl ended on a walk-off catch by a Bulldog. That was fun.
That was going to be my kudos and taps on the back is Georgia talent.
Oh, go ahead.
Right?
Yeah, I'm
so
done with mine.
if I can't, so I thought Hardman was a great, like, where the hell has he been? Another team comes back, and then he walks off with that. So there's a state of Georgia guy. I thought very quietly the kicker, Butker, who's from Atlanta, grew up here, went to Westminster, went to Georgia Tech.
Oh, I didn't know that.
Yeah. He's an Atlanta guy. His third Super Bowl leading scorer on the team. Like very quietly, he was the most important. He scored more points than anyone else. I know nobody likes to give kickers any credit, so I thought he would fit in that Georgia cat. Set the record for the Super Bowl longest kick.
Right after it was just set.
It was just set. Hadn't been broken in years, and these guys did it twice. Yeah.
Right.
And then I thought Usher and like the guys from Atlanta were pretty cool at halftime. I'm not I don't know his songs or whatever, but I kind of had a fun time watching all these guys from Atlanta up there just, I don't know, getting it done. I thought he was pretty good. I think some people thought he was a little out of date, maybe not big enough to do that show, and I agreed with him before, but I was like, you know what? That guy did as good as he could do and brought in some great characters, and anytime Little John is up there yelling, it's fun. The new Flavor Flav. All he has to say is yeah, and he says like 3 things. I love it. It's like the Chappelle Show skit about him.
Out of date. Is it because of the roller skates? It like took me back.
I fucking love the roller skates. Like,
birthday parties
cool.
when I was
roll bounce. That was Cascade. Here in Atlanta. They did kind of movie about it. Anyway, so that was my taps on the back, is like a little bit of slice of Georgia here, there, and everywhere.
Yeah, cool. I like it.
As one of how many do I do? I got a couple, but I don't know.
Go ahead. We don't have a time schedule. So
I wanted to give a tap on the back to Jesus. He had a great couple of commercials.
He
was big last night.
He was big last night.
We were watching commercials. This is pretty good commercial. I was like, wait a minute, wash your feet. Hold on a second. I see where this is going. But I thought that was pretty funny. Like 2 Jesus commercials.
Yeah. Were they
Right?
both by the Hobby Lobby people?
I have no idea, but like my wife was like, what the fuck is this? Like, yeah, I guess you sell Jesus, right? I don't know. I watched other commercials. I had no fucking idea. I still don't know what Temu is. Do you?
No.
Temu. They had like 7. I can't remember. It was like some online shopping thing, and I still don't know what the fuck it is. And they had like several airings of the same commercial.
Oh wow. I missed the beginning. I was played with fire, and I woke up at 5:15 a.m. in Nebraska, and I had a long drive and then 2 flights. And of course,
oh my God,
was late, and I wasn't home. I was in the car listening to the Super Bowl on the radio, trying to get home at the beginning.
Oh, really?
Like, I'm a football joke writer. This is kind of a big deal for me. I got to be home for the Super Bowl.
Yeah. What are you doing?
If the flight was on time, I would have been here like 90 minutes before kickoff, but it was like significantly late. I missed the first hour.
Where do you have to connect to from? Did you connect? That would have been weird. You connect in Vegas.
I was yeah, that's right. It was very inconvenient. I was able to get a direct flight to Omaha on Friday when it didn't matter, and I couldn't get home with a direct flight on Sunday, Super Bowl Sunday. I had to go through Dallas in this case, which, by the way, the Dallas Cowboys store at the Dallas airport, very quiet on Super Bowl Sunday.
I love it. Oh, I
a lot of product.
Both agree that I like everything about like the Cowboys can just.
Well, I had the same thing with them from when I was a kid. They just were so good, and I didn't like them because of that. They did that thing where they would set the line and then
stand
they
would up and then sit. Oh, that bothered. I have a friend who's a Dallas Cowboys fan and an Alabama fan, and I'm like, I don't know how we're friends.
Yeah,
you didn't go to Alabama, and you don't live in that. Like, fuck off.
Hey, you probably didn't. Last week in the quiz segment on this show, I did a thing about players from like 143 schools or something have scored a touchdown in the Super Bowl.
Mhm.
And weirdly, none of them are from Alabama. And this year, neither team had Alabama players, so that record stuck. There's a little bit of an asterisk because they count Jalen Hurts as being from Oklahoma.
Right.
But that's astounding, right? All these years of Alabama superstars in the NFL. And
I saw something about that, and I love it. I loved it when I read it, and I love it now. That just like fuck them, all of them.
No, me too. I love that that franchise, that dynasty, that brand is taking a hit this year. That's fun for me.
All right, I'll try not to turn this into the trivia show, but do you know who they are and what schools the only one that have 3 Super Bowl MVPs?
Wait, what's the question?
The question is, what college sent 3 people to a Super Bowl and they were MVPs? So the most that's the worst I could have articulated that.
I was just thinking that you're phrasing this in a way that makes it hard, and I'm confused.
So
I think
guys played some football.
I think this question is straightforward. Super Bowl MVPs are almost always quarterbacks, right?
Mhm.
You know what? If we're going to do a quiz, let's do the quiz time jingle. Hold on.
All right, kids. Put your thinking caps on. It's quiz time.
I'm trying to buy some time. All right. I think the way to answer this question, to walk me through this, is to think of the big-time quarterbacks who have succeeded and then go backwards to their schools. Is that the right way to do this?
That's a smart way to do it, but incorrect in this case.
Oh, okay. All right.
It's the right-headed approach.
If it's not quarterbacks, is it Terrell Davis? Is this answer going to be
That's
Georgia?
One. Yes.
Oh.
That's one.
Matt Stafford?
No.
No? Fran Tarkenton? No?
It was Hines Ward.
Oh, Hines Ward won MVP of the Super Bowl?
Jake Scott, Terrell Davis.
Who's the second one?
Jake Scott.
Jake Scott. Who's Jake Scott?
See? That's why it's a good question. He's NFL player that won Super Bowl MVP. You don't remember him?
What? No, I don't remember him. What position did Jake Scott play?
Here it is. Member of the key member of the 1972 Dolphins. And he's also named Super Bowl MVP of Super Bowl 7. He recorded 2 interceptions. He was a safety.
Jake Scott, a safety, was named MVP of a Super Bowl? That's a different era. And he went to Georgia?
Yeah.
Wow, that's a fun question. Oh, man. I like that question a lot.
You should learn how to word it properly.
Yeah, you need to practice. We got to workshop the questioning. But,
yeah, only we could get to see. But I'm the premise guy. The premise guy, not necessarily the.
I can't believe 0 of those guys are quarterbacks. That's even more astounding.
I was saying, yeah.
Wow, I like
that.
Yeah,
and nobody's had more than 3. I'm looking to see if Stafford was the Super Bowl MVP. I do not believe he was.
He was not. He played for 12 years with the Lions. He went to LA first season, won it with the Rams. Who was the MVP that year? They won. It wasn't him.
Well, wasn't the score like 6-3? No, it was.
Oh, that's a good point. Yeah.
No, they won another time. That was more. I should know more of that.
Wait, did you look it up? Now I want to know.
Stafford's played in 2, I think.
No, he definitely didn't play one with the Lions.
That's true.
That's good radio. We're looking things up.
Yeah. He led his team to a win against the Bengals in 2022. He's only been in 1.
Cooper Kupp, Super Bowl MVP.
Cooper Kupp.
So that year they gave it to the receiver. That's interesting. Okay. So it wasn't Stafford. Wow. So interesting. So rarely is it not the quarterback that wins the game.
Right.
Especially in the modern era. And that's true of the season-long MVP now, too. It's like every once in a while there's an Adrian Peterson that comes along, but It's almost always the quarterbacks. All right, I got a couple of quick quiz questions for you. This one you may have seen it during the broadcast. I just think it's kind of a fascinating one. Jawan Jennings is now one of 2 people to throw and catch a Super Bowl touchdown. You saw this?
Okay, go ahead.
No, that's it. Who's the other one?
I thought Nick Foles. I thought.
Yeah, that's right, Nick Foles.
Because he did the Eagles. What they had a play, they called it something. I can't remember what they called it.
Philly special to beat the mighty Patriots. Makes it even better.
They've got 2 now. They got the tush push they came up with as well. They've coined 2 plays.
Yes, or the brotherly shove. You can go that way with it.
Yeah. The battery toss.
Which maybe it's over. They're gonna.
Are they getting rid of that?
They're going to discuss. They're going to have a meeting. It's top of the list of rules to look at. That one and the offense fumbles out of the opposing end zone problem.
That one, I'm with you. I know that's a burr in the saddle for you. It bugs the shit out of me too. It's like, oh, you did it. You got down there. You dropped it. That's gonna like. I don't get where they came up with it. Let's just fuck it. Give it the other team. Like
it violates all football premise of how does it change
yeah.
possession if it doesn't change possession in the play? Like,
right. I've never understood that.
Doesn't make any sense. All right. One more quiz for you. Now, this one I did a little, just before we started, I did a little dive to see if I had some of the facts right. And it turns out they have changed this. In 2016, they changed it. But for 100+ years in Aussie rules football, what happens when their grand final ends in a tie? It happened 3 times in like 115 years, including in 2010. It's a big deal in Australia. Just to walk you through a couple of the facts here. Australia has like 1/10 of our population, but the Aussie rules games are huge, and they sell out 100,000 seats in Melbourne regularly. The grand final is a big deal. It's their Super Bowl. What happens when it ends in a tie?
Okay, I'm going to think out loud.
Yeah, that's the fun.
I think it's got to be something either really physical and cool or really stupid and non-physical, which would be a shame.
All right.
So
I like the logic so far.
Yeah, so it's an A, B, and my first instinct is to say it's like you kick until somebody misses, like when the guy comes out. Is that the one where the guy comes out like,
yeah, that's it.
Like
that's the
really,
sport. Yeah,
the guy with the top hat and shit. Like, yeah. I want to say that's my most is like they'll just drop kick and keep moving back and drop kick and moving back. But I'm gonna say it's something stupid, like it's a coin flip.
Okay, these are good. These are both very good guesses. All right, now just to clarify, in 2016 they changed it, and now they have overtime periods. And if that doesn't happen, if it's still a tie, there's a golden point situation, right? And that's been the last several years, and it hasn't come up yet. But for over 100 years, the grand final, if it ended in a tie, they would play the game again the next week.
Oh my God.
Is that the greatest answer ever?
They have golf tournaments like that. Do you know that?
They do?
There used to be like there's like an 18-hole playoff or something. I think that was like way back in the day. Like, yesterday,
they would just do it the
I don't
next
know if
day.
you watch golf. Like yesterday, they just play until somebody wins. But they used to, would play the whole day over.
But can you imagine this? Like we had a tie in the Super Bowl last night. They just shake hands and go, "See you boys next week." That would be a hell of an answer. I love that. I know. I love that too. I can't believe. I'm sad they changed it.
All right, I have one more quick one, and you're gonna get it, but it's funny to me because I think anyway. How many Super Bowls have gone to overtime?
Exactly 2.
And why is that funny? Because Kyle Shanahan was in both of them and fucking lost both of them.
Poor Kyle Shanahan.
Exactly twice, and and the rules changed, and he still didn't get it right.
That's right. The rules have changed. The first time must have been more infuriating, right? Because you didn't get to touch the ball.
You don't get the ball.
Oh, guess who has the ball and is peak performance right now?
Oh, perfect.
Unstoppable force. Yeah, there was some talk about that he picked the wrong thing. You want to weigh in on that?
I totally believe that he did, because here's why. I watched the guys when they did the coin flip, and they're like, "And what do you want to do?" They're like, they're like, "Ball, yeah, ball." And it was like, wait, and it just looked like they weren't quite sure. They know they were told to go in and say that. They're
Right.
like, ball. And I think Kansas City was like, yeah, we'll defend that way. Like, fuck it.
Yeah.
And I felt like Kansas City was too happy to lose. Like it was too happy to get lucky, and they actually won the coin flip de facto by the other guy. I felt like when they did it, there was a relief. I don't know how I felt that through the TV.
It is
far away. But watch it again, like you can tell he didn't know what the fuck the guy was talking about.
For the listener, if you didn't follow along with this is interesting. There's a new the overtime situation is newish, and we haven't fully established what the best strategy is, and it's debatable. And Andy Reid was really diplomatic about this when he was asked about it. He goes, "Well, this is what we think we should do, but I wouldn't question Shanahan. He's a genius," and blah blah blah. But it is an interesting question. So you if you win the coin flip, you pick if you want to get the ball first or not. Right. And here's the logic. So if in the new overtime rules, you get a last at bat for the first inning, essentially, right? So in a way, it's almost like in college football overtime, it's an advantage to go second because you know what you need, and right, you definitely want to go second in that situation. And it is kind of like that for the NFL, because going second, like in this case, they had a fourth down, which in their own area, they would have punted if they went first, right? But they knew they had to score at least a field goal to survive, and so they had to go for it. They converted. They went down. They knew that a field goal is the least they needed, but if they scored a touchdown, they would win. So knowing all that information is an advantage to the team that goes second.
Yeah.
The question is, and this is Shanahan's argument, what happens to the third possession? The third possession is anything goes, and when you take the ball first, you get that if it's a tie. If you get to the third possession, you have a huge advantage, because then if you score, you win in any fashion. That's his argument, analytics-wise.
I think he thought, but again, I don't want to question him, but I feel like there were some people who might have thought like golden goal, right? Like first score wins no matter what, or first touchdown wins.
Right. That's over too now.
So, right. But think about that. You take the ball, because if you get it and you score a touchdown, you're done. That's what happened to him in the last Super Bowl.
Right.
So he's like, I'm not letting that happen again. I'm taking the ball.
So for him, it's the analytics is, if we get to a third possession, now we're like 80% to win the game, right? That's the analytics reason that you say yes to that.
Right. Yes.
But you're conceding the advantage to the other team for the second possession. We're going to have to watch a few of these and see how they pan out to discuss.
I still think I think I've heard you say this before, but it should just be college. Fuck it. No coin flip. Go to the 25. Go see what happens. Do it again. Do it again.
Totally
do it
agree.
again. You got to go
college
for
football
two.
Overtime is so fun. It's dramatic.
Greatest.
It's exciting. It's fair. There's a fairness about it. It flip flops who gets to go second, and then they force you to go for two. I think it's fun.
I love it. I don't know how you can watch it in the NFL and be like, let's not do that.
I know. I feel like it's what they did.
They still have ties.
It's what they did with the 2-point conversion for like 40 years. And then finally they were like, all right, it is better to have two and makes it fun at the end. And yeah, I agree.
Totally.
All right. One last question for you, my friend.
Okay.
But now it's time for which comes first. Oh, yes, it's time for which comes first. Now tell me, will this happen before that happens? It's time for which comes first.
Which comes first, Ryan Schaetzle? Another Chiefs championship or the Falcons winning the division?
Falcons winning the division.
I do. I think in a month's time, we're going to have a big-time quarterback on our hands. That's what I think is going to happen.
Yes, and I think, oh God, do I have to talk about the Falcons? I get so mad. We were talking about how good I am with it. Now I'm like, there's so many games that like we lost in the last play. Like not even like we got stomped. We just like, oh, how did that happen? Oh, this like suddenly, who's the quarterback that drove me nuts? That was Dobbs.
Dobbs.
Like we made it. Yes.
Oh, Dobbs.
That
Yes.
clown shoe. You forgot who he was. He was so terrible the rest of the year. And then, like, he's a rocket scientist. Yes,
Yeah.
because he's playing. Fuck you. It's because he's playing the Falcons. Oh, is it 4th and 17? Let me just scramble to the right quick and pick up 18. Remember that?
I was mad that
worst.
I'm most mad that the Falcons didn't sign a Dobbs. Like they just sat there with the 2 guys that they had the whole season.
God.
It's like, come
even
on.
Even with Arthur Smith and with that crappy quarterback, like we still should have won the division this year. Like no question, should have won
I agree.
easily. It should have been. This is going to sound like I'm on trucker speed or something, but we should have been like 10-7, I think. All right.
I hear you though. I totally understand what you're
But
saying.
we're still anyway. So I think we're gonna get a decent quarterback. We're gonna tighten it up. We can't keep losing like these last crazy possession games because we've come out on the wrong end of all of them in the last 2 years. And Tampa sucks and Carolina's fucking awful. And I don't know.
The division is so soft. That's the reason that picking the Falcons here feels like the right answer to me too. I agree.
And cool. Can I just say that the way it ended with Jameis Winston, like actually scoring was like, I was seriously like, oh. That might have been the one that was like, okay. I don't know if I can
and our last memory of Arthur Smith is him going out there bitching at the coach about that. That's
He's
the
like,
last time we ever see him.
Yes. No, he had
it
his
is kind of a
mustache
fitting
shaved for
ending.
that one. Yeah. Yeah.
And then
I mean,
Jameis actually, he's such a lunatic. Did you see the interviews with him after the game on that, where he was like, "No, it's about team, and this is what we wanted to do." And the coach called something else. And we decided we're going to do this for our guys. Like, it's team first. That was like, I hated him for it, but also
Please
I
don't.
get it.
Please don't. Don't give me any
At least
credit.
in his worldview, it makes sense.
Stop. Oh God, I hate, like, honestly, if it wasn't for the Florida Gators being my top 2, like I hate like the Gators and then the Gators, but right there is the Saints.
Really? Gators,
Oh, the
Gators,
Saints. Oh, it goes Gators, Saints, probably Falcons after that. No, Tennessee, and then you can come up.
Not Alabama.
No, I don't. I mean, I do, but like, I hate their fans. I don't hate them. Like, they're good. Like, their fans are just like, just, I don't make me go on about the Alabama fans. But
I love that the Gators are the top 2.
top 2, fuck them twice, man. If you didn't fuck them good enough the first time. I hate everything. That stupid Gator logo and the stupid orange. And the blue's like a dumb blue. You know what I mean? It's like, it's not even a good
dumb
blue.
That's
It's
a
shitty,
guy who really
like,
hates the team.
Yeah. I don't know. There's a cartoon gator and all people doing that. And I don't know, man. Come on.
That's fun to
Just
me.
the worst. Yeah.
All right. I think I agree with you. I think the Falcons are in a division that's bad. They got a new coach. They're going to get a new quarterback. So we'll have a bit of a fresh start. And, the field is kind of scary for the Chiefs. They have to get – that's another thing that makes me impressed with the Chiefs. In the old days, the Patriots would get a bye because they played the Bills twice, the Dolphins twice, the Jets twice. That's almost 6-0 every year for about 10 years. Then they would get the bye, and then they would just have to beat like the Titans and the Jaguars to get to the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
Now the Chiefs have to fight through at Bills, at Ravens, and
I'll give
their
it to
division,
them.
they're going to have some pretty good quarterback play in their division at some point soon. And, I think they have a tougher path to get back than the Patriots ever did. So I think I'm with Falcons win the division in the next couple of years.
Yeah. I mean, we're a bad team in a horrible division. And even the best teams and the best, there can only be one when it comes to the Super Bowl, and you got to win like 4 more games. Like, yeah,
you got to make it through a crazy gauntlet.
Yeah. Cut to next year this time. Like, God, I can't believe the Falcons were 3-15 or whatever the Chiefs won again. What the?
It would be very believable, but yeah.
No, but yeah. All right, that's my prediction.
All right. I like it. Well, it's great to talk to you, buddy. You're a nice way
Same.
to end the season for us. It's good to hang a little, talk some football.
Well, yeah, thanks for having me.
Thanks for all the great
And,
jokes.
You bet. And offline, I do want to talk to you. Do you like have a hard out, or you just kind of wrap it up whenever? Because I do have one idea for you. I want to pitch.
You mean on or offline?
Just whatever, like either way. I have a funny idea for. I want you to do a Super Bowl commercial, but I have a strategy.
All right, I'll talk to you off the air. Sounds like
your brain went, no, I'm not fucking bored.
Yeah, it sounds like some half-baked Ryan Schaetzle shit there.
100%.
We don't need to do this on the air.
It's brilliant, but perhaps not funny for the listener. All right.
Well, thanks for listening, everybody. And thanks for another great season with All Pro Lines. It means a lot to us that you listen and that you're here and that you're on the socials and you're knocking around. And this is the third year as this brand. And I was hesitant to even do this crazy thing because I wasn't sure if I knew it would be so much effort and I wasn't sure if it was going to work. And this second half of the third year, I'm like, oh, it works. It's kind of a relief. So that's thanks to all of you guys. And thanks for following along with it all. We're going to be back in a month to talk NFL free agency. Go to Kostaki.com for all the tour stuff. Again, next week, just super fast. Frankfurt, Huntington, Evansville, and then a bunch of cities coming up after that. St. Louis, Springfield, Bloomington, Quincy, Burlington, Cedar Rapids, Rochester, Napa. Napa's one of these things is not like the others. And Peoria. Thanks for listening. We love you guys. We'll talk to you soon. Where's the music? Play the music. I need a producer.